We are in Boston, in Bellville. It is one of the oldest suburbs in the Bellville area, considered probably the oldest suburb in the Bellville area. Jean shakes his head, probably is. But let's open up the floor to our guests. We're joined by Councilor Roger Cannon. Emery Ugan is the Bellville CPF chairperson, and John Bjorkman of the Boston CID. Jean, I'll start with you. You're the most centrally located to us, a literal neighbor to where we are. But there seems to be a lot of pride of people when they say, "No, I come from Boston. I live in Boston in the Bellville area." I'm sure you do too.
Yes.
And where have you seen, and how long have you lived here, and how have you seen this particular part of Cape Town grow?
So I'm living in Cape Town for the last 10 years. I relocated from Johannesburg to Cape Town.
And your reason to be part of a CID in this area?
So I worked beforehand at the Bville CID, and then I came over to the Boston CID to manage the area.
Let's speak to Roger Cannon. He is the councillor for Ward 2. It's not just the Boston area. It's Boswell, Clam Hall, Parow North, Fredless, Bellville, De Teicher, various parts, Oakdale, Parow Golf Course is also part of your particular ward. Roger, really appreciate your time when we talk about issues and concerns of this particular ward. As a councillor, what are you concentrating on at the moment?
Hi, good morning, Lester. Thank you for inviting me, and also good morning to all your listeners. Yeah, so you alluded to the area of Ward 2. It is a vast ward, of which Boston is but one of them. I just want to add, the extent of it. It includes 28 parks, as you said, golf courts, tennis courts, bowling club, 8 primary schools, 3 high schools, city-owned rental flat with 519 units, senior citizen homes, hospitals, libraries, 2 CIDs, 8 neighborhood watches, and 2 CPFs. So the challenge is quite an extent and in various forms, from having to take care of people with social needs. There's also that is around streets, roads, parks, and just general living concerns of the residents. There's some social issues and personal social issues that one as a councillor is also sometimes having to face. But that has been part of being a councillor. We take it and we see how we can assist with the primary object of providing service delivery to the residents.
And you're making interventions, particularly in this part of the world, in the general Bellville area. It is an area of mixed income. You have those of relative privilege, and you have those who have a relative and quite stark lack of privilege, particularly when it comes to economics. Also, you have an informal economy that struggles often to get on its feet. There may even be issues of parts of the illicit economy, flowing into some parts. And then you have major industries, and you have major companies. You have national companies based in this area. It really is, if you want to look at a tale of two cities, we would say this would be a case study in that.
That's correct, Lisa. And one needs to see how one can balance this out and not, leave those in the areas that into which people have moved that are not by the means and probably don't have the economic resources compared to certain parts. Sometimes, as you said, it's said that, we hope you're not serving the privileged areas. And that's why it's so important to balance it out, especially when one has a reward allocation, just to make sure that it's balanced across the whole ward. And areas that may be not by the means of certain facilities, seeing how one can even that out.
Emery Ugan is the chairperson of the Bellville Community Policing Forum. When we talk about Bellville, we also talk about issues of safety. A lot of issues of safety and crime often situated along the Durban Road, Voortrekker Road area. When we talk about the transport terminus, is a very important economic node, but often the topic of conversation when we talk about crime and illicit activity in the Bellville area. Just last week, we had a raid accompanied by the National Police Commissioner looking at illicit and fake goods being sold in that particular area. Emery, how are you facing that challenge as the CPF here?
First of all, Lester, I just want to say thank you for allowing me on your show this morning. It's a tremendous privilege to be here and to explain what my role and function is within the CPF. I've been elected as the CPF chairperson 2 months ago. And before I head on to the challenges, I think it's very important that I begin by explaining what our role and function as CPF is within the Bellville area. So the CPF, first of all, represents the community's interests and monitors the South African police service delivery. At the same time, the CPF tries to promote the image of SAPS to the community in order to foster ties between the SAPS and the community. We also perform a vital role in the civilian oversight of the South African police service in the precinct. So Bellville is constantly inundated with complaints pertaining to crime. I mean, constant communication. I actually was on the phone this morning at 5 a.m. with the new acting station commander of Bellville, and he was explaining to me all the issues that they are faced with regards to informal structures. We have a huge amount of illegal foreigners. We also have a lot of muggings, theft out of motor vehicles. We have needles being dumped all around Bellville. And drugs is completely out of control in Bellville.
We also would focus on the interventions in that regard. There has been active needle and drug substitution programs run by NGOs in conjunction with governmental authorities. While those critical issues are interventions and how we make substance dependence a little bit safer for those who are using, but also dealing with the illicit economy, the illegal economic side of those things as well.
You're correct with regards to the needles being issued to heroin users in an attempt to obviously reduce the transmission of HIV and AIDS. But yet at the same time, these very same needles that are being used for a good cause are being dumped and being found in parks. You have children playing with these needles. You not only have the possibility of contracting HIV, you also have diseases such as hepatitis, which can actually remain in needles for quite a number of months. Coming to with regards to the illegal goods, so I think this is now the second raid that the South African Police Service done within the Bellville area. I think there were goods up to 7 to 10 million rand that were confiscated from these raids that they were currently doing. But I don't think it really addresses the underlying root cause to the issues that we are faced with here in the Bellville area, because we still have a crime rate that is not coming down. I can just be grateful for the fact that we do not have any shooting incidents like that occurred in Manenberg and on the Cape Flats. But eventually, if we're not going to address these issues, eventually Bellville will become an area where we're going to start having turf wars and shootings and things like that. So, yeah.
Let's go to a quick voice note, 0725671567. Issues around particularly safety being raised as concerns on our WhatsApp line. Let's have a listen.
As a resident of Boston, amazing neighborhood to stay in. It's literally improved year on year since I purchased property there. I would definitely say that the security aspect is 100% contributed due to the Boston CID and the amazing job done by the guys that patrol the streets during the day and the evening. Take my hat off to the Boston CID and their whole entire team. Well done, guys.
It's congratulations for the work that you do, Jean Bjorkman, as the Boston CID manager. That buoys you, of course.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. We appreciate it.
What have been the interventions that you've been putting in place that listener mentioned?
So currently we have 70 cameras all around Boston. We've got our patrol vehicles and our control room which are well-trained officers doing the job outside.
A question to you, Roger. Morning. Great to hear the Boston councillor. Please request him to action road repairs, potholes, especially in 11th Avenue at a primary school. That's a message directly from a constituent of yours, Dion here.
Hi, Dion. Yes, we've received a number of reports and complaints regarding the roads, especially the potholes. So over the past couple of months, we've had extensive rains that have taken place across the metro. And during that time, it's not easy to repair any of the potholes. I've seen where people have just thrown, tried to cover up potholes, whether it was big or small. It just lasts for a week or so, even less than a week, and those roads are open again as a result of the rain. As we know, water, tar, they don't go together, they don't mix, and it's the city has then just waited until better weather has come upon us, and we will see, and I've already seen the city's roads department out filling up the potholes, and there's a major tarring of the road in McIntyre Street, but one of them, and we'll see the rollout of the repairs at this time.
I want to come back, Emery. There is a challenge to your assertion that illegal migrants or undocumented persons are a direct result of crime in the Bellville area. Your response saying that it would be, how we assume that it's part of the same problem.
I would completely agree with that statement. So I never said that illegal foreigners is a result of the crime that we are dealing with. For example, I mentioned with regards to the raids that SAP's done now recently, that is not addressing that's not the underlying root cause behind crime. So there are foreigners in this country that are legally here, and they're contributing greatly towards the economy of Bellville. We even had some of the foreigners, we had Somalians and Ethiopians that are willing to join the fight against crime. And that was a great encouragement for me to see that they are willing to combat crime. So I would completely agree with what that person said. They are not a result of crime in our area, but they are illegal foreigners in the Bellville area that are involved in crime, and they should be dealt with. And but if they are willing to join us and trying to address many of the challenges that we are faced with in Bellville, we would welcome them with open arms.
Councillor, please ask the ward councillor to address the crime and filth under the Tierberg Bridge in Fairfield Estate. Is that for part of your ward, and what are you doing about it?
Yes, that is part of all. Daily we report our what we call C3 complaints to the city, and I believe that the area is being already escalated as one of the areas that the city and the law enforcement and SAPs who daily take make a turn at the area. It's a case of when approaching the area, these people leave, but as soon as the agencies leave, they come back. We cannot put somebody there for 24 hours. That is the issue. So they're aware that when they see a law enforcement or when they see SAPs come around, they move. Yet some of them are indicating, listen here, this is where I'm going to stay. And we all know the issue of the case that the city is waiting on for removal of these homeless. We cannot just remove them. Some of these people are there for quite a while now. They see that as their home.
Morning, great show as always. I just want to comment on the illegal goods raid. I was a student at the University of the Western Cape more than 10 years ago in Bellville, and I found it quite amusing because back then it was a well-known secret. You could go to this Bellville Market, if you want to call it that, and you could buy counterfeit goods, Adidas, whatever. And obviously as a young student, you're tight on cash, and you want to wear the brands, eh? So, it's a good market. But nevertheless, I think, it's a long, it was there before You know, I was a student and I see 10 years, 11, 15 years, whatever on, it's still an issue. So it's just interesting to see that we just keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. It's quite funny, actually. Tyron from Claremont.
That's an interesting point, Emre. It is what it is. Everyone talks about the Bellville market for either off-brands or call it fakes or call it imitations. Yes, it does contribute to the illicit economy. Yes, the South African fiscus loses billions in tax, in potential tax, if people were in fact were to go buy the proper legit goods from legit stores. But many people feel it is what it is. That's what Bellville Market is known for.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, Lester, when I inform people that I'm from the Bellville area, they always tell me, "Are you from the cheap Nikes and the cheap Adidas?" You know. So it sounds very bad, like with the whole illicit trade. But to be honest with you, the whole trade with fake brands actually kind of marketed Bellville in a way, you know. But yeah, I commend the South African Police Service, and I will allow the operations to take place. But I also think we need to work closer with the Somalian community and to find out what their grievances are, how we can perhaps maybe legally allow their businesses to operate within the Bellville area. So I'm hopefully going to be meeting with them over the next few weeks. Tonight we actually have a community meeting, partnership meeting. At the Sanlam Center, where we're going to have law enforcement, we're going to have the South African Police Service, we can have various neighborhood watchers and members from the community to see how we can work towards creating a safer Bellville for all.
Because it's creating a Bellville for all, not just for people who've lived here for decades. It's for people who are also new to the area, whether they are South African citizens, whether they are migrants who choose to come live here and contribute to a local economy, choose to send their children to schools in this area. It's about creating a community where all is involved. Roger?
Lester, I agree with you. We've got to accept the fact that these foreigners have moved in over a period of time. Some of them have made it their home. Some of them are even employed in certain areas, universities, our technicons, as lecturers, and we've got to accept that yes, they're part of it. We have what we call the Greater Tigerberg Partnership that's taking place here in Bellville, where work has been done, which includes the foreigners, making them accept. Listen, this is what we want for Bellville, but you've got to follow the lines here. It's not creating something for yourselves. It's creating something for the Bellville community. And to be part of it, you've got to follow the lines as well.
For all who live here, I really appreciate your time, Councillor Roger Cannon. Imre Ugan is the Bellville CPF chairperson, and John Bjorkman, who's the Boston CID manager. Really appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming.